new moon in this particular case, a new moon, and that's why I'm talking about the new moon, it is an opportunity where there is no moon in the sky, so it's like a black mirror. It's an opportunity to really go past the illusions and truly shine through connecting directly through the sun in the day and at night. So there's nothing in between there. There's no mirage. It's a black mirror, which is your true. It works as a portal, as a pathway, as a bridge. Now, new moons traditionally have been seen as opportunities to set new intentions, new ways, to set the map or the template of what we're going to create next, if we work and if we align ourselves into this moon cycle. But this particular moon is, yes, it's a new moon. It's in Aries sign. It's in a fire sign. It is also in alignment with the equinox that just went. And this equinox has a particular significance because we have realigned into a cosmic timeline that we've veered away from. This cosmic timeline has been charted for thousands of years by different cultures, from the Lakota to the Mayan, to the Veda, and of course a lot of these powerful, real astronomical sites in the planet, built with the intention of observing, not just observing, but also aligning to the correct timeline that would lead humanity to where we are now. And now, like everything, science starts to catch up to the work and the wisdom that has been created. Yeah. So the alignment of this equinox was finally observed again, for example, in an observatory, ancient observatory built in Mexico, in Mayan ruins. And this observatory was tracking the alignment of Venus in particular. And on the 20th, Venus went exact 0 degree, charting or landing exactly on top of this observatory built with stone thousands of years ago. And astronomers were like, whoa, actually it works, right? At a bigger level, I like to watch things in different perspectives. Of course, there's always that 3D. There's a rational side. There's a, that level which gives us certainty that we're not going crazy and we're not making things up. But there's also higher levels, always, which I try to navigate more and more, just really trusting my inner knowing as I align with my truth, and then I can see all aspects. And one of the aspects is I know that this alignment meant and means that we are back on track. We are back on track. So the energies now are really prompting us to not only align with your highest timeline, but also the timeline that you are going to be, it's going to be needed for you to do your best work. So the equinox acts like a new year rather than the year that we work through, January to December, the Gregorian year. The equinox actually marks the start of a new cycle. Let's call it cycles. A new cycle of birth, growth, flow, achievement, creative achievement, and then release and death and transform back to rebirth. So this cycle started on the 20th, 21st of March with this particular timeline aligning. And so this new moon will be the first new moon of this cycle. And it is in Aries, in the sign of Aries. And it's also called stellium, which means there's going to be 4 bodies in alignment with that new moon. Of course, being the sun in Aries now as well, the moon being in Aries. Chiron, and I'm going to talk about Chiron. A little bit of the lore of what Chiron is and who's Chiron and what does that mean and what's the archetype. What are the energies we're receiving from Chiron? Very, very important as well. So Chiron, the lore of Chiron is a Saturn, the god Saturn in Greek mythology, became human for a little bit and made love to Chiron's mother. And Chiron's mother had Chiron, who was half horse and half man. And his name was Chiron. And of course, the first thing that Chiron had to deal with was the wound of abandonment, because the mother was horrified at the fact that he was half a beast. But being half a beast and half a man, particularly the horse, and it really works in the symbolism of having the ability to connect to earth, but also the higher realm, spiritual realm, right? And so being on both worlds. Chiron in astrological terms is called always a wounded healer, because Chiron is the key and actually has the symbolism of a key if you look at it in your chart. Chiron is the key to turn your wound into your own medicine. And so Chiron not only had to deal with a big crisis of identity to start with. Who am I if I'm not an animal and I'm not human, and also my father is a god, so I'm a demigod. So all of that, the identity crisis. Now Chiron has been in Aries since 2018. So think of that, because collectively we have gone through the deepest wounds we possibly can be from 2018, and now, of course, this transit of Chiron will stay in Aries for this 8-year period from the 2018 to 2027. 2026. So we are now, and we have gone through this first 4 years. So we're halfway through the wounded healer. And what it is telling us is it's working with our identity. It's challenging our identity, and it's working through the basic core wounds, the wounding that tells us that we're awkward, or we're unlovable, or we're not good enough, we don't fit in. So, and of course, it depends on where in your chart it works with. You might have a look at it to know in what area of your life is challenging you the most, this core wound. But of course, it affects us in all areas. So one of the things that we've been really having to deep dive now and really look out is our identity. And I've spoken about this before, is who are you? Who are you really, if you're not attaching to what the world tells you are? So we were given an identity when we were born somehow through our cultural heritage and our name, the family we belong to, the things we subscribe that we believe in because our family believes in, then our school, our friends, so on. We build our identity around the world, how the world would see us or tell us who we are. So in this way, our identity was based on a mirage, a mirror that was telling us this is who you are, and this is based on this is who you should be. But when we walk into the black mirror, when we pass the mirage into a new moon portal, we have an opportunity to actually truly see who we are. And sometimes this can be quite daunting, because it means really looking at ourselves, not from the perspective of your achievements, what you're doing physically in the world. It takes you the opportunity to strip all the layers all at once. And so when the wounded healer steps into the shaman is the bridge in between the spiritual world and the physical world. We all have the ability to be shamans. Shaman means crossing of worlds, the one that can be in many worlds. And this can be as real as figurative as well, depending where in your path you are. So the wounded person can become a shaman, needs to become a shaman before it turns into an alchemist. And that is the hero journey of Chiron, and what we're going through, not only as a personal level, but also as a humanity, as a collective. We've all been thrown into who are we in this collective soup as well. Who am I? How am I serving others? Am I serving others? Am I serving myself through serving others? Am I being valued? Am I being rejected, discarded, controlled, manipulated? All of this, we've gone through all of that. And that is an opportunity to go deep into the wounding, the not deserving wounding, or the not lovable, not good enough. And we all carry that. It's one of those common human wounds that we have. And COVID definitely has shown us that. If there's a silver lining to all of this, definitely has been that. But this new moon, as we align with Chiron and the moon and the sun, Venus and Mars are in Aquarius, we're moving forth towards that of Aries, Pisces and Aries. We also have Mercury, which is our mind, aligned into this, right, I need to work now on myself. So recognizing your core wound is now key. Maybe some of you already have worked with this through years, but it's in layers, you see. It's never all at once, because it's how it works best. So we call in the experiences and the timelines we need to, so that we are moving forth slowly into the alchemist through the shamanism from the wounded healer. Now, Chiron also is associated with holistic health. Holistic means having a lot of approaches, looking at things from different perspectives and putting it all together. So then you have a better understanding, especially when it comes to disease or health. Dis-ease, not being at ease. It's important that we not only look at one single way of doing things, but we actually see all aspects. So not only the physical, for example, when there is a disease at physical level, it's always good to understand what other aspects of that disease is being at play here. At emotional, energetic, mental, spiritual, ancestral, all of this, environmental. So all of this has to do. So diving deep and deeper, going deeper. The work is now to be called to action your healing. And the healing does not come from outside. It never has. The first step for healing comes in the moment that you acknowledge that you are out of balance or you do have a disease, but is not placing the power in something external, because then that will create an addiction to the external. So of course we know if you put your faith into the basic level will be traditional medicine or allopathic medicine, you know, pharmaceutical, for example. I'm just gonna get rid of the uncomfortableness of what I'm feeling, and I'm just going to mask my my disease, my discomfort, so I don't have to see it. So I'm putting it water under the bridge, like some people say, or put it under the rug. And that is a very dismissive way of handling health. So you can't, there's so much you can do for so long that you can do that until it becomes a chronic disease, which means you're not listening, you're not understanding how it works, you're not working with your disease, and you're making it chronic. So you're resisting it more because it won't go away. And it won't go away because the way you're tackling it from the start is placing it outside of yourself. This is something that happened to me. My mother gave me the diabetes. My father gave me whatever, right? The government, the energies, the food, we can blame and blame and blame and blame where the disease comes from. And we can go as high as alien technology. All of this is creating and it's making us sick, blah, 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 blah. Yes, acknowledging all of that is important. But as long as you keep it outside of yourself and you're not willing to understand that the wound is within, so the medicine is, that disease started with yourself, subscribing to a lifestyle, and not listening to your inner self and to yourself when your body told you to stop and rest, to sleep, when it told you I don't like this, when it tell you that what you're doing is not good for you and you kept doing it because you thought that that was the way, you know, the sacrifice, the cross, you know, all of those programs. And some of them are not conscious yet until they become conscious. You know, so how many times you can go through one wound and thinking, I thought I had already gone through this. And yes, you probably have, but not with this new tint and from this perspective. So we're fine-tuning, because this is why we're on earth, in this realm, and in all realms at the same time. But why we are having the human experience is exactly to have the human experience, and that means mastering our human experience. And of course, in my particular case, I've decided from young age to master my humanity through unlocking my inner technology, for example. I do believe my body has the ability to self-heal anything. And not only that, it can create abundance and in health, for example, particularly, because we're talking about health here, because that's Chiron, that's the archetype we're all working with. And what this world crisis showed us, if anything, is we have a world health crisis, don't we? Because it's not working, because an injection, a vaccine, a medicine that is external is just momentarily. It's just the soothing, maybe the hey, don't panic. We're going to do this just so that you get rid of the symptoms. But to really go deep in the ear, we need to start asking the why. What's the core? Why to start with? I had to learn through illness, right? And it's inevitable. I'm not saying we're going to be perfect and never get ill in any way, because illness is not only physical as well. There's spiritual illness, there's emotional illness, there's mental illness, there's energetic illness, not being able to deal with people's energies and constantly being on the nerves and with anxiety. And that's also, that always going to prompt you to find tools to empower and strengthen that area in your life so that you have a strong nervous system and a strong energy field. You see, that's why the medicine is in the wound. Because once you're shaken to your core and you're shown that the way you're living and being is leading you to have pain and suffering, then you find ways to relieve the pain and suffering. Hence, it's always that journey that takes you back to yourself. And back to yourself is accepting yourself fully. Your beast side, your human side, your godlike side, like Chiron. So that's how you become the shaman. And right now we're all becoming shamans because we are all transversing this breach so that we understand who we truly are. And that takes courage to leave things behind, leave people behind, stop doing things that we were just numbingly doing, to align more with who you are. And for some of us, this might mean a 180-degree turn. For others, might not be that much. For others, they might be already on their course to do that. But it's a very personal journey this new moon is calling you to walk and transverse. Because all of this, even all of these lockdowns and all of these retrieving yourself from society, whether you want to see it as I was pushed away, but also remember that at a higher level, it was needed for you to come back to yourself and come back to prioritize what's important for you. What really matters, what's really more important right now than being able to access a restaurant or a gym or a pub, right? And what happens if I'm pushed away from society, or if I can't do the things that would keep me comfortably numb? What would happen to me? Who am I? It goes back to the self, back to the mirror. But not the mirage of the identity that the world projected to you. The real mirror, which is a black mirror, which is a portal, which is the bridge to your inner shaman, to your inner medicine woman, medicine man, to be able then to alchemize the wound into your medicine. And when we have that realization is when we heal, when we truly heal. And it's all about surrendering into the wound itself, not resisting it, not avoiding it, just simply surrendering to it. So this is why it's so important to work with these energies. We're already working through them anyway. It's already happening. There's no way out. But if we do it with awareness, then we can set an intention. You set an intention within yourself to really accept and allow your core wounding. And in what areas is showing itself. Yeah. A few examples, some people have told me, I've been feeling really pushed away socially. I don't fit in. That means Chiron, that core wound is being shown in the social arena, where the person is identifying its identity, identifying its value, her value, by the group, by how the interaction with a group, right? And that's not a bad thing either. It's just where it is. And so then you can go deeper into that and going, okay, so I'm valuing myself when I am with others. So what happens if I'm with myself? What if I am my own company? What happens? Have I looked into that? Or have I been distracted to always find my value within the group, for example, right? Others, the core wound would be in their actually in their core identity, the self-value, the worthiness. I'm not good enough. So if that core wound is never looked at, no matter how many affirmations, therapies, courses that you're placing outside of yourself constantly, they're not going to make you more valuable. Your self-worth is not going to get better, even if you become world best on something, unless you acknowledge that your value has nothing to do with all this doing and achieving, right? It's just because you are born and you're here. And of all the pool of DNA and all, if we start at cellular level, all of the chances for you to be right now incarnated here and now, just in that, there's huge value and potency and possibility. Stars collided for you to be here, to start with. The DNA pool from your ancestry, from all of that, you came to be. So just thinking about that possibility, that you were born in existence in this here and now, has your value right there, if you're struggling with basic identity or self-worth. So you are worthy just because you are. So there's nothing you need to do. Nothing. And that is a relief. Because then whatever you create is not binded to the worthiness. It's just fun because you want to offer that, because that's your gift, or because you can't help it. I remember the words of Frida Kahlo at some point. She would be in a horrible pain all her life. And painting was the only thing that connected her to who she was. She couldn't help. She said, if I don't paint, I die. And so that's the expression. It's not, if I don't paint, I'm not going to be liked. If I don't paint, I don't earn money because I need to sell my art so that I can feed my family. You see, the only value attached was the fact that she recognized it, that in herself, that was her soul calling. That was the way she was expressing her divinity or her God self-like being, right? So I invite you to dive deep into that. If you do want to know where Chiron is in your chart, for example, to see in what areas, you can astro.com. I will post some comments below. We'll show you your chart and you can see where. I might be able to help you with that. I used to do astrology a long time ago, but I'm not really doing charts anymore. Just a lot of time consuming, and I'm not into that anymore. But I'm sure you can find ways to find that out for yourself. What I'm working now very consistently and deeply is through embodiment, because it is through the technology in your body that you get to truly become a shaman and an alchemist in your life, and also align to consciously and away and with direction into your more fluid timeline, most harmonious way of being. And so it's I do this through breath work, through Kundalini yoga, and I'm guiding cellular regeneration fasting, which I invite you. I'm opening now. The next one is on Monday, the 4th of April, utilizing the energies of this new moon, and we will be working with the adrenal system, the nervous system, the immunity, definitely, and the alchemy inside, to turn the wound into the medicine. So it's a deep work. It's not only about a fasting protocol, it's a guided fasting protocol that has many levels as well, through spiritual practice, physical embodiment practice like trembling, TRE, trembling technique to release stuck adrenals that have been working on too much cortisol and in freeze mode. And let's face it, right now we all holding trauma or tension. It's tension release, in one way or the other. We are holding because we had to adapt. When there's big shakeups in your life, whether it's internal or external, you need to adapt. And to adapt, your body, your physical body, needs to go through the adaptation process. And this brings tension and brings stress. The body enters in a stress to find the best way to adapt to the new situation. So it's part of life. What we need to do is make sure that we are working with a technique to release this tension. And we used to do it in many ways. We used to dance around the fire, shaking and howling and sounding to release tension. Whether then that was seen or portrayed or misled to believe others that that was witchcraft or of the devil or pagan or crazy, or I don't do those things. Those are weird stuff to do, right? It's a program. But the actually natural way of releasing stress, it's by moving the body, by releasing the body. And it's not by mentally dancing. It's not even the yoga, the colonized yoga now, which is just it's lost its mojo, I'm sorry to say it, but it's all about just stretching and it doesn't go as deep as it should be now. It's very controlled, that's what I'm saying. Of course, you might be a yogi who does amazing in yoga, Western yoga at the moment, and that's fine. That's your tool. That's fantastic. But what I'm getting at is that even that is not enough to release stress from your body, especially at these levels of constant having to adapt to a very hostile environment we're living at the moment. So very important to work through techniques that actually allow you to release. So that's why I work, and I chose TRE or trembling technique. Fasting, because we need to reset the body. We need to be able to go deep into cellular level and stripped and allow your body to release all of that that's holding. And it's such a deep work, and it's such energizing. So that's another way of landing in your body pretty quickly, by working with the food program, and the attachments we have to it, the addiction we have to food, for example. Emotional attachment to food, it's huge. And a lot of our core wounds are attached to food as well. So we put them aside and we go into that, so we feel better. So that is what I wanted to portray today. That is what is being guided at this time, that we work through our wound, become the shaman to alchemize that wound into the medicine and the inner medicine, to go deeper into your journey. And it's not outside, the medicine is not outside. Even in the spiritual world, even in that new age and all of that I keep seeing, I don't have the answers for you either. It's not in me, you see. I might be a tool. My services might be a tool. Other people might bring things to the soup. This is where there's holistic health for you to understand. But in the end, you have to walk that path on your own. In the end, you have to discern what will work for you, not what's the best and the ultimate. That it's also marketing. It's all about producing consumerism. So spirituality is not something you consume, and health is not something you consume. Love is not something you consume. Connection is not something you consume. None of it. That's the mirage. So the only way out of this is through your own black mirror, through your own portal, through your wound, really stripping all the layers and entering into who you truly are. And then whatever comes out of that, then you're doing it because you're a human being and expressing its godlike abilities. And it's really short-lived. I lost my mother 6 months ago, actually. Now 6 months. And she took nothing She left beautiful seeds planted, definitely. But she took nothing. So all what was left was what she created. And I know she did it joyfully. Sometimes not. And again, it's all part of being human, eh? All right. I'll let you go now. I invite you to walk through your wounded healer and turn your wound into your medicine. And if you need tools, call them through and they will come, whether it's through me or others. But I'm here. And if you need any of my services, let me know. And if you want to subscribe to this next 9-day cellular regeneration fasting program, by all means contact me, and I'll walk you through that. Okay. Mucha aroha, mucho amor. Satnam.